This is why you want to lift your Econoline. You look awesome, even next to a F650. If you're a regular on my channel, you know what I call this hobby: budget sportsmobiling. Lifted two-wheel drive van. An interior you can sleep in. You know what will make your van more sportsmobile-like? A side ladder. My friend Ryan makes these. I will pin his Instagram in the comment section. $350 for an Illumina style side ladder. The Illumina's side ladder goes for $700, so this is half the price. I just did a quick test fit right at the wheel well for anyone who has a non-extended van, so you might want to measure it out. Just under 16 inches for this ladder. Looks like it's gonna be close. Since this ladder utilizes the bottom sheet metal and the roof rails, the drip rails, you could post it in the middle, anywhere between the driver's side door and the wheel well, the wheelbase. So anywhere in this area will work, since you're gonna use this as a mounting point and the drip rail. So this ladder hasn't been installed in a standard length van yet. If you have a standard length van, it might fit if you put it here, and I always bust up my hands when I'm working on my van, but it might fit here 16 inches wide. So measure that out, 16 inches from the very tip of the wheel well, and then 16 inches up top. I'm not sure if it's gonna spill over past the top, but go ahead and give it a measure. 16 inches. So 16 and going straight up 16. It's gonna be a close call. This ladder has some adhesive with rough texture on it so you don't slip. I'm about 200 pounds, size 9.5 shoe. So if you have really big feet, you might hit your van a little bit, but that's okay, it's a van. And what other vehicle has a ladder on it, right? So let's go ahead and climb it. So if you don't have a fiberglass high top roof, your roof probably looks awful, so you might want to check your roof if you haven't already. Patch up all the rust. So at the end of this video, I'll share some of my install tips for this ladder that you might find helpful. One of them is look at your roof rails. You might have some warping on your roof rails, which I had. So see this little metal plate that he provided? It's bending up because my roof rail is actually really warped. I should have put the ladder along here somewhere, but I had already committed to this side and drilled some holes. Doesn't bother me. It's not a beauty van, so I just stuck with it. And then it's mounted. There's a mounting plate right there. So this is attached to a mounting plate. I'll share all of that later. So I'm using clamps right here to hold that into place. So he provided all the hardware. I didn't use this foam strip. And like I said, my roof had some warping on it, so I didn't use all the washers that were provided. I recommend you pick up 4 of these. I picked up 2, and 2 work just fine. So I clamped the ladder from the top, right here, from the top on the drip rail. But it actually would have helped a little bit to have 2 clamps to clamp this section right here. So this metal bar came with the ladder. So since I have some warpage on my drip rails, it's bending up right there in the middle. So like I said, inspect your drip rails. And if you have a lot of warpage on your drip rails, you could easily utilize some washers up here instead of this big metal bar. But like I said, hey, van life. Van life in front of us. That's probably a nice build right in front of us. That's probably an apartment in there. But yeah, since this is not a beauty van, it doesn't bother me. See this bracket right here? I'm gonna relocate it here, and instead of recovery boards, I'm gonna bring actual 2x4s, like 6-foot 2x4s, as recovery boards when I go off-roading. Flat out boards do better than the fancy cute little recovery board, so that's what I'm gonna use this ladder for. Relocate that bracket and create a holder for some 2x4s. This used to be a cheap motion sensor light. It stopped working, so I just ripped it off. I'll put another one on there, but I'll move this closer towards the ladder so I have a mounting points for some boards. I wanted to get this ladder on as soon as possible, mainly to look cool. I'm all about my sick add-ons. I could hang some trash bags off of it too when I go camping, like up high. Here's after one use on this recovery board. I lost the other one. I grinded the nubs right off. Load range E tires. I have a feeling this thing is super nice inside. You're gonna need a couple of drill bits. I'll go ahead and put what drill bits you need when I get the ladder installed. So the ladder is clamped in. This is gonna be a tight fit for a lot of drills, but I'm just marking it, and then I'm gonna pull the ladder off and drill the holes in. Drip rail holes right there. I made the mounting holes on the ladder just a little bit bigger. I'm gonna explain why. And then the top is loosely held in, not using the washers yet. And this is what I didn't foresee. The drip rail is a little bit warped. That's why I had to enlarge the hole here slightly and on the ladder slightly, because see how it's bending up? That's the drip rail. That's a drip rail deformed. Here's how warped my drip rails are. I use these clamps to hold the metal bar up here to squeeze it so I could get the bolts in right there. So right now the bolts are loose, so I could get the bottom ones, and I'll tighten everything up. So my drip rail is so warped, I'm not even using the provided washers. So yeah, look at your roof. Look at your roof rails to check how warped they are. Since my van's not a beauty van, yeah, I don't care. I'm mounting it. It's strong enough. But yeah, if you're a perfectionist and you have some warped roof rails, you might need some longer bolts. Cause see that gap right there? That's the roof rail warping upwards. So I'm using clamps right here to hold that into place. The plate Ryan used is thick. Busted the drill bit, so I'm gonna finish this off with a step drill. Made the mounting points just a little bit bigger so I have a little wiggle room. I don't have Al Borland skills, so I've always made mounting holes just a little tiny bit bigger so I have wiggle room. So I did that here, and like I said, this mounting plate is thick. I did it here, and I'll do it on the bottom rail. So that was Ryan's tip. He said before you bolt the lower part of the ladder, he said don't tighten the top all the way, so you got a little wiggle room, and it worked perfectly. That was easy. The top one was tricky just because my roof rails are warped. Now tighten everything down, I'm done.